She has been here before. I'm so thrilled to have her here again. She has performed on the Central Park Summer Stage. She's been featured on the Moth Radio Hour and the Moth Podcast, and she is a true blue shiksa. Please give it up for Bonnie Levison.
So my husband, Andy Levison, and I found an apartment at 38th and 9th Avenue. And it was so cheap that we signed a long-term lease. The realtor told us not to worry, that the neighborhood was going to turn around any day now. And this was the 80s. And I'm talking Hell's Kitchen in the 80s, when it was really Hell's Kitchen. So right after we moved in, a little something called crack cocaine became very popular. And our apartment building became ground zero for the crack dealership of Midtown West, focusing on a particular demographic, which would be the transvestite prostitutes. So when I came home late at night, what I would usually run into, if it was summer, they were in front. If it was winter, they were in our vestibule, would be a group of about 6'5" drag queens doing their business with the dealer of the week. And this was very disconcerting for me, as you can imagine. And at first I was really freaked out by it. But it was something I just got used to. We never really had a problem. But it made me really uncomfortable about living where I was living. But the deal was great. Over time, we were able to save all this money, and with a loan from my parents, we were able to invest in this cabin about 2 hours north of New York City. And it was awesome. It was my oasis. And it was this, exactly as you'd think, a log cabin, and it was this sort of one room with a fireplace. To the left was a little kitchen with a couple of bedrooms above it, and to the right was the master bedroom, and I think realtors today might call it an ensuite master. But something was missing. What was it? Oh yeah, there was no wall between the bathroom and the bedroom, so there was a tub in the floor and a toilet right in the room. I mean, this was a very funky house, but I loved it, and it was ours. So we enjoyed this summer of going up there on weekends. It was just great. And then the weather got cold, it became winter, and we were gonna go up for one final weekend before we locked it up. And so we get up there, and as soon as we opened the door, I could feel this cold breeze flowing through the house. There's glass all over the floor, and the furniture is all askew. We'd been broken into, and my heart dropped. As soon as we realized that nobody was in the house, we called the police, and within 10 minutes, Officer Mike walks in. Officer Mike immediately made us feel at ease. He looked like Sam Champion, you know, the weatherman, in a police uniform. He was just exactly what I needed in that time. And he said, "Look, there's been a vagrant in the area. Now that the weather's gotten cold and it's winter, he's been breaking into houses to find a place to sleep. You know, if you don't mind, I'd like to use your house as a stakeout." And of course, my husband's looking at me like going, "This is awesome. He's became a 12-year-old boy, a stakeout at our house. Let's do it." And so we said, yeah, you know, fix the window. We gave him the key, and we're like, "Stake at the house, let us know what happens." So the week goes by. Officer Mike sleeps in the house in the dark with a loaded weapon, and he tells us he waits for 2 nights for this guy, and nothing happens. But at the end of that week, he said, "Look, don't worry about it. We have intelligence that tells us the guy's gone. But, you know, you guys are on my route. I know you don't want to come back till next May. Do you want to give me $25 a week? You're on my route. I'll stop in on the house and check on it all winter so you don't have to worry about it." And we're like, "This is great." So we made this deal with him. So as the winter goes by, Mike calls us periodically and is like, "Look, everything's fine. How you doing? Do you need anything? Let me know if you're coming up." We're like, "No, we'll see you in May." So that's great, but it's April now, and the weather is spectacular, and I'm like, I want to go, and I called up my girlfriend Lori. I'm like, "Lori, let's go. Let's spend the night there. It's just such a gorgeous day." So she's in. We get up early in the morning. We drive up there. It's 9:30 on a Saturday morning. It's this beautiful day, and we get there and we see a car in the driveway. I'm like, that's weird. It's not a police car. So I'm a little cautious. I park down around the corner, and we walk up to the house, and I go up on the front porch and look through the window with Lori right by my side. And there inside the house on the floor is a little girl playing with her dolls. I'm like, this is so weird. And I go to the front door to unlock it, but it's open. And I just walk in, and we're standing there, and the little girl looks up at me. I'm like, who are you? Hi. And she says, hi, I'm Janie. Who are you? I'm Bonnie, and this is my friend Lori. So where are your parents? And she said, oh, well, you know, my daddy's a policeman, and he works all night, and he just got home, so he's in his room taking a nap with mommy. And she points to my ensuite master bedroom. And all I'm thinking is, okay, what, policeman, taking a nap, works all night, oh my God. He's in there having sex with his wife in my bed. Oh my God. I feel my friend's eyeballs bulging out of her head, making their way in, wondering what I'm going to do. And I just look at this darling little girl and I said, wow, okay. And she looks back at me and she says, do you guys want to see my house? And Lori's back, eyeballs bulging in my head. And I said, yes, I would like to see your house. So she proceeds to give us a tour. This is the main room, and this is the kitchen. In the kitchen are bags from things that were obviously just bought the night before. And then she takes us up and she shows me her room. This is my room with her things and her suitcase. I said, that's so nice. So we go down to the main room, and I'm sort of like not knowing, I'm in such disbelief. And I said, you know, Janie, could you tell your daddy that Bonnie's here? She goes, sure. So Lori and I stand there. She goes into the room, and we hear conversation. Then I hear movement. And then what seems like an eternity, nothing happens. And then suddenly the door swings open, and out comes this woman I have never seen before in my life, and she is holding linens and blankets, and she is scowling, and she just walks right by us and doesn't say a word or looks at us. She loads the stuff into the car, and then she goes back to the kitchen. Not a word is said. I'm standing there with Lori going, what the hell is going on? And she starts loading up the kitchen, putting all the groceries back in the bag, emptying the thing out, and putting stuff back in the car. And I'm like, okay, Lori, I just have to, let's go sit out in the front and we'll wait for this to be over. And we sit there, and finally, the mom's in the car, the daughter's in the car, all the stuff's in the car, and finally Officer Mike comes out. And I'm sitting there, and he's holding these bags, and he just looks at me, and I look back up at him, and I said, you've got to be kidding me. And he just stares at me, and I said, give me my key. And he takes out, you know, this key off of the keychain that made it look like his home. And they drive away. And I sit there going, my God, he made my oasis his weekend retreat all winter. I never saw Officer Mike again. And I heard that he'd asked for a different area to work in. We decided not to report him because I figured his wife was going to be punishment enough. But, you know, that cabin never felt the same. But a weird thing happened. You know, that apartment in Hell's Kitchen, prostitutes, drug dealers, and all, began to feel a little more like home. Thanks.
Young's the world